All right, let's take a look at wireless configuration then. Make sure that we are running. Yeah, we're recording. It didn't beep on me, so I was wondering. All right, so configuring your wireless network. Now, a lot of this I've already talked about because I think it just matters. The other information matters more when you talk about why is this standard there or why did they do this thing. I think it just makes more sense. So a lot of this I've already done. To set up wireless network, configure your APs, your network bridges, your wireless range extenders, and NICs. Most APs are configured to work right out of the box, which is part of the problem. Even I have computer majors that really ought to know better. Just buy this wireless box, plug it in, get halfway through the setup, and then just discontinue setting it up, making it very unsecured, right? Because the AP is not insecure about itself, it's unsecured. So we're going to take a look at it. Most APs have one wired port that you can use to connect to the AP to perform configuration tasks. That's in a big environment. I always configure APs that way, so when I get a new router for my house, I plug into the LAN portion and I just get right in there and configure it. Most of that is done through an IP number, so I'm not sure what my number is here. I'm assuming it's 168.1.1. And it is. There's my router on my network. And so I'm connected wirelessly, but if this was a brand new one, right, what I would have done was plugged my network cable straight into the LAN, not the WAN port, but the LAN port. Usually have 3 to 5 of those on the back of it. And then you look at what its default IP is, which is usually 192.168.1.1, and then it starts the process. So I'm on this box right now, and I could log in right here and start configuring the wireless box. That means so could anybody else, right? So that's kind of the point. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at what you can do. So you configure the region, but that's only usually these days. That's only for business type stuff. It used to be that you had to configure the region for your own home device, but that bigger business stuff, you configure the region. That's already configured for you from the factory on your small boxes. They only sell you a certain one. And honestly, you can really screw up. You could go out there and if you're not careful, buy a Linksys that was actually sold in Europe, and now you're on the wrong region and you have no way to change it. So, and it does matter because how they administer those channels is different. So anyway, then you select the network mode. And again, I tell people that I don't use G, and that's not even, down here. So you'll actually have an option that'll say, how do you want to use it? So mixed is the latest, which supports connections from both of these clients. And then normally in that mixed mode, you can either select, again, one single network ID to connect you to both, or 2 different network IDs. And that's what I do. I have 2 different network IDs, and I put some equipment on this one and some equipment on that one. And then they have A only and N only, and you really don't want to be doing that. And this is for new devices, so you may not even have this mode, this top mixed mode. So you select the network mode, then you set the SSID. You can name that whatever you want, right? You can name it Joe's Barn Shack. Lots of people think it's funny because they put in FBI surveillance van. Ha ha ha. So that's popular. But you select whatever your SSID is going to be, and that's basically the network name. Now they also say to provide some level of security, consider using a cryptic name. Really what you're trying to do is in a bigger neighborhood, people can't figure out who you are, right? It doesn't say James McBride's Wi-Fi. So they don't know if that's my wireless or not. Now that's, as they say, some level of security, because if I'm using one of those network monitors, I can just simply drive and let it update and park in front of my house, and then I know which one's that network because it's coming out the strongest, right? So there's ways around that. And then you configure the channel, which is usually set to auto. some APs are nice and they'll actually show you a chart and say these are the channels that are being used out there, but most don't. And so that's usually, honestly, I will get out some free network monitor that I have and take a look at the Wi-Fi and then pick a channel that, because I'm going to use all of it I can, right? I'm going to set all the good settings on there. Now at that point the thing's working, and that's where people usually stop. So all these come with that big fold-out sheet usually, and you go through these different steps. By the time you hit step 5 or 6, the thing's working. And so people just go, okay, that's great, I'm done. I do not configure a MAC access list. That restricts people by MAC address, and I've seen it be very problematic. Also, if you're really hacking something, you can just see what MAC addresses are being broadcast. It's not a difficult thing. And so this would be helping secure your network from idiots. You can also disable the SSID, and I've seen problems with that too. And guess what? I can just run one of those little network monitors and it'll just show me what the SSID is, even though you're not broadcasting it, because you actually are. It's just in a different place. So again, you're protecting yourself from idiots by disabling it. It doesn't really provide that much security. And then you configure the passphrase, and this is the important part. We're moving beyond WPA2 because that's been hacked, and WPA was hacked years ago. That's easy to hack. And this is something that we will do in the next class, is that we'll set up a wireless and let you use some tools to try to hack it. So WPA2, if that's all you got, that's what you use. And the passphrase is case sensitive, and it's best not to make it short. So I tell people all the time, everybody likes it when it's short, right? So you just type it in, hey, what's your password? That's what they say, right? What's your password to your Wi-Fi? That's not actually the password, that's a passphrase, just to be technical. So the passphrase to the Wi-Fi lets people go, oh, it's Bubba28, capital B. And it's easy to tell people. It's best to set up a guest network if you're going to do that kind of thing with an easier password, and then separate your traffic out on your real network. Lots of wireless routers have that ability. And so what you would do is put in something long. Mine is really long, and try not to use the same characters. So not like Bubba 1111111 42 11111, because duplicate numbers are easier to hack. So make it long, make it a phrase. That's why they say passphrase, like the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. That's something that I used to use all the time back in the day, because it's harder to hack. Now when you choose WPA, then it's going to ask you this: do you want to use AES or TKIP? And it's not as strong, so nobody uses TKIP. They all use AES encryption. And just so you know, on a standard enterprise network, they may use WPA2, but they actually rotate the keys. So you authenticate, for instance, to EAC with your username and password, and then that passphrase is actually rotated, and so it's much harder to get into. And then on some of them you can configure the beacon, which is how often does the AP actually tell itself, tell everyone about itself. And some people go, oh, well, I want it to be more secure, so I'm going to set that to be higher number, so it won't, tell everybody about it every so often. Really, that's not providing security, because you don't have to wait that long to find out. What it does is that if you lower that broadcast of how often that happens, it leaves more time to transmit other stuff, so it can speed up your transmissions. If you shorten it, what you're trying to say is, I have a lot of people that are coming in and out all the time, and so they need to know about that network. And I'll take the hit on how fast the data can transmit, because it lets people connect much quicker and much faster. That's really what's going on that one. And then that's how you actually set it up, your wireless connection in Windows. So that's our wireless configuration facts, and I will move on to the next one. Isn't this just fun?